Welcome to r/slash Malicious Compliance, where your wish is my command. Being Friday the 13th while waiting for my tattoo, I was reminded of a situation a few years ago with my friend Liz, who's my primary artist and an especially Karen type lady, and her Kyle S boyfriend, double K for both, who came in to get cheap tattoos. I watched this whole thing go down, but wasn't involved per se. So Liz was doing a quick custom job on me and my buddy Chris. Yes, we got matching tattoos, Star Wars yin yang for those wondering. I went second so Liz and I could catch up. Double K bypassed the massive line out the door and down the stairs and walked straight up to the artist area to try to skip the line. This was shut down pretty quick and they were told there's a huge wait in front of them and they'll have to go to the back of the line. Well, Double K didn't like this one bit and started to throw a fit. Like, legit tried to pull me out of the chair because he's getting what he wants and I was here first. She wasn't. I was there at 8 AM to help Liz load in OJ and donuts, and the 10 people in line before me knew this too. Well, one of the artists just finished and said, "I'll take you two." We were all kind of flabbergasted by this, but Liz got this big evil grin on her face, so I knew something was up. I figured this dude would do a terrible job, go too deep, use the wrong needle, something to just royally screw up their day, but he did none of this. He pulled his flash sheet and said, "Pick one." Karen picked something and he asked where she wants it. Back of her ankle. So dude gets to work freehanding it while Double K keeps looking at the line like they won something. Well, they did win something. The smallest tattoo I've ever seen. The thing was no bigger than a dime. From 10 feet away, all I could see was a little black spot on her leg that looked more like a mole than a tattoo. Double K lost it, screaming about him assaulting her and forcing her to get a tattoo and they're gonna call the cops and all that. Then they tried to skip out without paying. They were rather impolitely informed that theft of service is a felony and that cops are only 10 minutes away. They tried to pay up the $13, but that's where the guy's brilliance really shone through. His sheet said custom at the top. All custom tattoos were $31. Not only did this lady have a very tiny and very intricately detailed tattoo, she only had a 50 on her and they had a huge sign at the register that simply said no change. Double K ended up paying the shop minimum anyway, but she got her tattoo ahead of the line. So I'm looking through the comments and actually a lot of people in the comments here are agreeing with the Karen, saying that while it's true that she was certainly rude, putting a permanent sucky tattoo on this girl's ankle was kind of going overboard. So what do you think? Let me hear from you down in the comments. Did the tattoo place go too far, or is this instant karma? Our next Reddit post is from Salvia Moria. I work in a casual fine dining restaurant in a downtown area. Prices aren't crazy, but high enough that we don't get a super young crowd. I would say average age of our dinner crowd is 30 to 60, although it varies more on the weekend. I only include this information so you understand why I didn't initially ask for identification, even though you should always check. Thursday night, a table of 4 comes in for early dinner. 2 Karens and their daughters. Excellent. I'm ready for them to split entrees and tip me 15%. Not the worst type of table if we're being honest, but nonetheless. They order a pitcher of sangria, and I tell them I'll be right back with that for them, to which Mama Karen says to me, "You really aren't going to check these girls' IDs? Her birthday was just last month. Aren't you supposed to check anyone who looks under 40? She is correct, of course, that I should have asked for identification even though the girls were with their mothers and I was being lazy by assuming they were of age since their moms didn't stop them from ordering drinks. I agree with her and tell her that I actually am supposed to check all IDs regardless of age and proceed to look at all 4 of the ladies' IDs. Unfortunately for Mama Karen, her birthday was a few days previously and her ID had expired. In the state of Michigan, it's illegal to serve alcohol to anyone with an expired ID, regardless of age. So I had to deny Mama Karen a glass for the sangria, while her daughter and friend shared a pitcher. I didn't really have malicious intentions, however, it felt good that Karen's antics backfired on her. Edit. I didn't include details of Karen throwing a fit when I denied her a glass of sangria. She informed me that she, a business owner, is more aware of the law than I, a mere server, could ever be. I simply couldn't just do my job and bring her a glass. My generation doesn't respect elders and blah blah blah. Her daughters were a little embarrassed, I believe, but I tried to move past it and serve them the rest of their meal normally. Karen kept huffing and puffing, but said no when I offered to bring the manager over. She says she's a business owner. What are the odds that she sells essential oils on Facebook? Our next Reddit post is from River Guava. Not me, but my dad. Many years ago, my parents took us on a family vacation. Being a family of 5 and trying to save costs, we opted to take a 2-day scenic drive instead of flying. My youngest sister was just off her diapers and had to urgently pee. My dad stopped at a filling station in a small town to let my sister use the restrooms. Cue the grumpy old store owner refusing to let her use the restroom because we haven't actually bought anything yet. There was a line waiting at the fuel pumps and still a couple of cars ahead of us. Seeing as my youngest sister was really struggling to hold it in, my dad goes into the shop and chooses the shadiest looking snack he could find and pays. Sure as heck, after my sister did her thing, he proceeds to return the snack because, wouldn't you know it, the expiration date on the packet was way in the past. You can also bet that we went to the filling station across town to refuel the car. Why would anyone deny access to a bathroom? Do you want people to pee on the side of your building? Because that's how you get people peeing on the side of your building. Our next Reddit post is from Confused Contortion. So this happened years ago when I was in high school, but I smile every time I think of it. My high school had a policy that anyone who had missed less than a certain number of school days could pick one class they had an A in to skip the final. You could get a couple extra days for college visits, but otherwise it was very straightforward. Awesome policy, and we loved it. One year, we had this kid who was in 8th grade and had been diagnosed with cancer. He spent a lot of his year sick, getting treatment, going to the hospital, running to the bathroom to throw up, etc. Despite all this, he finished the year with an A in his Spanish class. It was his only high school class, so it was the only final he would have been able to skip. Administration was not going to let him skip the final because he had missed too much school. He and his parents asked him to make an exception given the situation, but administration wouldn't budge. His teacher stood up for him, but was told this kid had to take the final no matter what. He had missed too many days and there would be no exception. The teacher said okay, but told her class not to study for, worry about, or exempt her final. Then, the first day all her students showed up for the final, she told them to take out a piece of paper and number it 1 to 3, leaving one line in between each number. She then asked 3 questions along the lines of, what is your name? How do you say yes in Spanish? And how do you say hello in Spanish? Then, she collected the final. Everyone got a 100 that year, and she became a legend. The kid has been cancer-free for over 5 years now. Well, at least it's good to know that the school is cracking down on all those troublemakers like kids with cancer. And we have a similar story from Maradas down in the comments. I have an interesting story as well. I got very sick the first year of high school right before finals. I missed all of my finals and had to make them up in summer to complete the year. All in all, I did fine except for one, Algebra 2. Because the teacher said she would let us use the notes for our finals, so I didn't study. I showed up with my notes and they refused to let me use them even after seeing a note from the teacher. I started the test and in the middle I wrote in huge text, they didn't let me use my notes and I didn't study because I was sick. I didn't complete the rest of the test. I probably did 50% max. I received my grades back and got an A on it. Best teacher ever. Our next Reddit post is from Easy Lucky Free. A couple years ago, I worked retail in a store geared towards children. A very magical store. Lots of princesses, superheroes, rodents, you get the picture. Our store had about 25 female employees, including all of management, and 3 male employees. The dress code was incredibly strict. We had a uniform that had to be ironed all the time, no visible tattoos, only natural hair colors. Women were encouraged to wear makeup and style their hair. Men were either to be clean shaven or have fully grown in facial hair. For some reason, one particular manager was intent on nitpicking me regarding the dress code. even when I was in complete compliance of it. I was constantly told that I needed to iron it better, so I started getting it dry cleaned, and somehow that still wasn't enough. I wore very minimal makeup, and she constantly told me I should wear more, though she couldn't make me. Hair bows were a big thing at the store, and people made and gave as presents custom ones highlighting characters. They weren't exactly against dress code, but they did push the limits. Regardless, this particular manager seemingly only had an issue with them when I wore them. Once, she got down on her hands and knees with a ruler to prove my pants hem was too long, only to be proven wrong. There were also some conversations about my appearance that, looking back, were definitely body shaming. As a side note, this particular manager was a natural brunette, but she dyed her hair black and bleached a portion of the hair underneath so that it would show. She was a self-proclaimed broho, if you need a more clear idea. Point is, her hair pushed the edge of what would be considered natural. I got the itch to dye my hair, and before working for the store, I had always loved to color my hair all sorts of colors. However, with the dress code, only natural hair colors were allowed. So I came up with a compromise: silver. I went and had my hair professionally lightened and dyed silver. The next day I worked, the district and regional managers were visiting the store. I was always picked to work those days because I had the best stage presence and knowledge of the company, and those two were always impressed by me. When I showed up to work that day with my new shiny silver hair, my store managers were appalled. They wanted to send me home immediately, and for whatever reason, they decided to talk to me in front of the higher-ups. This is a paraphrasing of the conversation. "You're in major violation of the dress code." How so? "Your hair isn't a natural color." Yes, it is. Gray is a natural color. "But you aren't gray yet." So? "So it looks unnatural to be all gray." Are you saying that we can't dye our hair at all if it's not a color that would grow out of our heads naturally at this moment? "No, you can dye your hair, it just can't be obviously fake. It needs to look real." I pointed to the manager, who was constantly on me. "Your hair is half black, half bleach blonde. I feel like that looks more unnatural than my gray hair." I turned to the two higher-ups and asked if I was in violation. They agreed with me that I wasn't. I also showed them one of my bows, and they fawned over it, and even asked me for directions on how to make one. In the end, I got to keep my silver hair and my bows. And my manager was told that her hair actually was a dress code violation, and she had to dye it before coming in the next day. So am I the only one imagining the manager with a Karen haircut? Our next Reddit post is from Mike Sass. Early August 2018, I tried to break up a late night fight between my cat and my parents' dog, and I lost. Didn't realize at the time just how bad cat bites are. So the next morning when my hand swelled up, I went to the emergency room where they gave me antibiotics. I'd been on antibiotics twice already that year for pneumonia and a UTI. So despite knowing that my allergies to both penicillin and sulfa were on my chart, I made sure to request ones I wasn't allergic to. You know, because duh. They gave me sulfa antibiotics and I almost died. 2 days later, I'm back in the ER and get different antibiotics. I have good credit and would like to keep it that way. So I paid off all my bills as soon as I received them. There was drama with getting additional bills later, to the point where I called and asked the registrant to go through my account to make sure I had paid everything. And if I hadn't, I would like to pay it over the phone. Cue to months later when I get some very angry calls from a collection agency trying to collect on the bills I'd already paid. It took a 3-way phone call between the ER, the collections agency, and me to figure it out, but we figured it out. Cut to the past 2 days, where I've gotten 10 different emails asking me to review the ER. One email every business day. "How did we do? Reminder, give us your feedback. Don't forget to review." So I did, on Yelp, Facebook, and Google, just like they asked. And here's the review. "This place almost killed me with antibiotics that my medical history clearly states I'm allergic to." Then they had the nerve to send my already paid bill from their attempted manslaughter to a collections agency. I'm likely not the only person they've tried to bully into double paying a bill. Now it's a year later and they suddenly decided to hound me for a review. You can call me Karen. And OP went on to post an update that basically just said that they contacted her on Facebook asking her to take the post down. But, of course, she refused. That was r/MaliciousCompliance, and this is r/Puppy Bloopers. You really aren't going to check these girls' Dog, what did you do? Don't pull stuff off the table, please. You really aren't going to check these girls' IDs? Dog! She is correct, of course, that I should have asked for identification even though the girls are with... Dog, stop whining, please! She is correct, of course, that I should have... Dog. What are you doing? What are you doing, Pooch? You want pets. You're begging for pets. She is correct, of course, that I should have asked for identification even though the... She is correct, of course, that I should have asked for identification even though the girls were there with their mothers. Dog, please! She is correct, of course, that I should have asked for identification even though the girls were with their mothers and I was being lazy by assuming they were... Can you please stop whining? She is correct, of course, that I should have asked for identification even though the girls were with their mothers and... Dog, why are you doing this to me? Am I not good to you? Do I not pet you and cuddle you and feed you and walk you? Play with you? Indulge you? Let you chew up my shoes? Huh? And then you've got to sit there and look at me and whine while I'm trying to record and bark like I'm some bad person. I'm not. I'm a good person. I'm a good dog owner. I make your life happy. And this is how you repay me? Pooch. What do you want? Pupper. Puppy dog. You just want to play. That's all you want to do. You just want to play. He was like, yeah, and all you want to do is work. Alright, let's go cuddle.